HaKadosh Boker Tov. We're just going to continue now, but we're going to start with the halachot of Chanukah. Shulchan Aruch and Siman Tafresh Ayin Aleph, Sif Hey brings down Ner Chanukah. You're supposed to put it on the entrance, which is closest to the Reshut Rabim, to the public domain, Ibachutz on the outside. However, though, he says, if right now the entrance in Petach, right, is Samuch, he says, if the Bait is Patuach Reshut Rabim, so you're going to put it on that Petach, on that entrance. He says, Im yesh chatzer, let's say you have a courtyard in front of your house, so then you're going to put on the entrance of the courtyard. If you live on the second floor, that you don't have an entrance to the Reshut Rabim, so then you put on your window, which is closest to the public domain. Uvishata sakana, during the time of danger, that you're not allowed to come and light the candles, you put it on your table and that's it. Nowadays, right, however, obviously there's no sakana that we can't light the candles outside. So on what basis do we have that we're lighting it on the inside? If anything, a person should light it, whether it's going to be by the door or outside towards the entrance of his house or the entrance of his driveway. So, bizman hazeh, that we don't have these problems, still there was a minhag to light inside the houses. Number one, the Darkei Moshe brings down because of shchiche ganavim, because sometimes or many times it could happen that there's thieves, which means that they'll come and they'll start stealing your Chanukiah. Obviously the Chanukiah is just like any other type of a mitzvah of hidur, so therefore the majority of people will come, they'll get expensive Chanukiyot made out of silver or glass or whatever it is, but it's not going to be these cheap things, and therefore it's going to be problematic. Number two, we don't know how long the situation will stay the same, and therefore we keep the minhag on the same minhag of doing it inside. That's the Shut Yaskil Avdi brings down. Another one is because of the winds. We know that you cannot light the candles in a place where it's going to be very windy and it's going to come off. And the rabbis did not come and try to force us to light outside with this box that's brought down in the Aruch HaShulchan. And therefore, because of all these different reasons, right, there's a last reason, and all this is also brought down in the Chazon Ovadia and Ovadia Yosef, and also the Shevet HaLevi. The last reason that they bring down is that once you have the minhag of doing it in the Bet HaKnesset, because of Pirsum and Nisa, so therefore in the house, we don't have the same thing. Everyone has already gone to the synagogue, they've gone to the Bet HaKnesset, and over there, right, they've already seen the Chanukiah, right, they've seen the candles, so therefore it's not going to be the same. Now says Maran, besides the concept of again now lighting, that you could light inside even nowadays, now Maran comes and he says another halacha. He says you need to have another candle. You need another candle in order to use the lights of the other candle. What does that mean? We know you're not supposed to use the lights of the menorah of the Chanukiah, but if not, then we don't know you're doing it for the Chanukiah. We think you're doing it, but you just won't light. However, though, he comes and he says, but we're going to have what's called the shamash, and the shamash is the candle that we're going to be able to use that light. Now he says, if you do have a big torch somewhere, so obviously you don't need it. However, though, if you don't use the torch, so therefore, obviously you would still need the shamash. The last halakha that we'll mention is very important, goes as follows. The mitzvah is to place it above 3 tfachim from the ground, and below 10 tfachim from the, right, below 10 tfachim. Why? But if you did put it above 10 tfachim, you are going to be tzedachuvah. Remember that every tefach is 8 centimeters. So we're talking about between above 24 centimeters, because if it's too close to the ground, it's not recognizable what you're doing. However, though, it should be below 80 centimeters. So now he comes and he says, but if you did place it above 20 amot, which is around 10 meters, you're not going to be yotzei yedei. Now you have to remember that the halakha, right, is doing the mitzvah, which means it does not help to light the candles above the 20 amot and then bring them down. The halakha, the lighting, is doing the mitzvah. So make sure that wherever you're going to light, the Chanukiah is already in a place where you're going to be tzedachuvah. Because if afterwards you're going to come, you're going to light it, and then you're going to move it around, right? The lighting is what makes the mitzvah, not anything else. So that's going to be very important. So here it says, why is it that it has to be above 3 tfachim? Because anything which is below 3 tfachim is considered the ground, and therefore it's not recognizable that the balabait to put it there. But with the avad, you are going to be tzedachuvah in such a case. That was also the psak of the Kaf HaChaim, even though Maran is mashma that you're not going to be yotzah, right? You're not going to be tzedachuvah. The next one is that it should be below the 10 tfachim because of pirsum hanes when it's going to be lower than that. So therefore he comes and he says, because it's not normal to put it so low, right? If you're going to come and you're going to need something for light. Usually the light, the higher that you put it, the better that it is. It's going to illuminate much more. So therefore, again, these are just the different halachot. The last one, obviously, that we mentioned was the 20 amot, because a person cannot actually look at the 20 amot, and that's actually the connection between this week's parasha and the halachot. If you remember in Ilchot Chanukah, when it's talking about exactly this halacha about the 20 amot, immediately afterwards in the Gemara, it brings down the story of Yosef that was put in the bor. And he says, why is it that it says vaborek and bomayim? Why does it say both? Obviously, if the borek, it does not have bomayim, but rather it did have the chashim v'akravim. It did have snakes and scorpions. It didn't have the water, but it did have the snakes and scorpions. So now the question was, did they actually see it? Because if they actually saw the snakes and scorpions, so then why are they throwing Yosef into such a pit? They're saying, okay, fine, we're not going to kill him, but just throw into the snakes as if you're doing him a big favor, right? So there's a lot of what to speak about, but this is one of the hints where they bring down about the concept that if it was going to be 20 amot, right, in the depth, so they also couldn't have seen the snakes and scorpions. So it wasn't that the Chavana, they threw him to it. They didn't see it. It was too deep. So one, they came, they lured him down, they put him down there, and that's it, and they forgot about him. However, though, again, this is the concept of the 20 amot, right, of having it that you cannot see.